Okay, we're live. Hey everyone. Very happy to be live with Valerie. Do you want to introduce us to yourself and your books? In case people don't know you, because you are very active in the group. So
I can introduce myself. My name is, excuse me, says she's choking on herself. Sorry, I think I've got my husband's cold. My name is Valerie Keogh, but I'm really Valerie Dickinson. Keogh is my pen name. I write crime and mostly these days I write psychological thrillers. I'm currently published with Boldwood Books. I write 3 books a year. So I'm either writing or editing or thinking about the next one. And sometimes I don't know where I am or who I am. And it can be quite confusing, even for myself, especially when somebody asks me the names of my characters and I cannot remember because I'm already gone on to the next book. But anyway, that is me.
I was just going to say then, is it confusing when you do the interviews about your books? Because if you're bringing out 3 a year, you must write them quite quickly and in advance. So you may be doing an interview for one that you've written like 1 or 2 ago.
Yeah, that it can be quite difficult because once I finish a book, it's done, and I move on to my next characters. So someone says to me, "Oh, tell me about your last book," and I'm thinking, "My last book," and it is hard to get back into that kind of mindset of the last book. So I have to kind of refresh myself. I have to look at the back and say, "What's this about again?" And sometimes I look at the blurb and I think, "Did I really write that?" You know, it's that kind of puzzlement sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I love what I do. When I finish a book, I think, "Oh, I'll take a rest now before I start the next one." And I swear to God, the next day I'm thinking, it's a bit like your withdrawal symptoms. You just want to get back into writing the next one. So I'm constantly writing or thinking about it. I think on my just recent holiday, I didn't write the whole time, which is unusual for me. But I did think about the next one I have to write, which I don't normally do in advance. I'm not a planner. I'm a total pantser. But I actually did give it a lot of thought when I was away. So I have a fairly good idea of what my next story would be about, which is very unusual for me, although it may change anyway. So
a cruise ship would be a very good.
Done that. I've done that. And The Wives was set on a cruise ship.
I've read a few of yours, and I can't remember if I've evidently not read The Wives.
You mustn't have done. Well, some reader criticized me because I talked about the ship swaying, and sometimes ships don't sway. And excuse me, but they do. And like the ships I've been on sway.
They might be a particular word for it, though.
There probably is. Yeah. I mean, I think they rock me.
Yeah, I mean, I love going on boats. I don't know that I'd want to go on a cruise, but
I tell you, the first time I went on a cruise, I didn't think I'd ever want to go again, and I've been on 3 since, and I've really enjoyed them. We're going on one in July. We're going to Scandinavia, and they are fun. But this one, I was on with a couple of friends, which was lovely. So we had dinner together every night. The food was lovely. I mean, just because I work full time as a writer, and then I'm putting the books down and then cooking and everything. It was just lovely to go away and have someone do all that for you. Give me time to think. It was great.
And Scandinavia is lovely, so you'll enjoy that.
I did. I enjoyed that. But it did give me time to think as well, because quite often I don't have enough time to think. Because I'm going from book to book, I'm stuck in that kind of those characters. So it was nice to get away and have time to think for a change. So it's nice. But I'll give you a laugh. The cruise was around Iberia, which is grand, and we stopped in Lisbon. I've never been to Lisbon before. And there's a big bookshop in Lisbon called Bertrand's. It's the oldest bookshop in the world. And we went in because my book was translated, the nurses translated to Portuguese, and it came out the previous week. So I said we're going to have a look, and I never thought we'd see it. We walked down this huge bookshop, walked around and came out, and my friend Linda, her partner Andrew, we were coming out, and Andrew said, "Look, your book." And it was there on the shelf. all this in the section of new releases. My book was there. So it must admit, it was an absolute thrill to see it in a bookshop as good as Bertrand's. So I actually signed them all for them. They were really thrilled. So yeah, that was it. I'd say it was the highlight of my holiday.
Brilliant. What stops does your Scandinavian cruise go to?
It goes to Hamburg, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Helsinki, Tallinn, which I'm really looking forward to, Visby, I don't know where that is, and a couple of other places, so I can't remember where. From Hamburg, though, I just booked it yesterday. In fact, from Hamburg, we have the opportunity of doing a trip to Bergen-Belsen that I'm really excited about because I've always wanted to go to see the concentration camps. So that'll be interesting. So yeah, that'd be nice. That's in July. It should be nice and warm because I mean this cruise was lovely, but it was very cold outside, and they have lovely outside areas. And of course, you just walk out and you go woo and come back in again. So this time it'll be hopefully sunny.
Yeah, we once went to Stockholm in like Easter, and there was still ice.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like places. And you couldn't go. We were going to go up the archipelago to like somewhere, and you couldn't.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I was in Helsinki.
You'll be fine though.
It's but it's cold. Cold up there is very cold. I worked for a medical company as a sales rep for a few years, and it was based. The product was made in Helsinki, and so I went to Helsinki for a couple of sales meetings. But they were always in January, and my God, Helsinki in January is cold. Really, 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 really cold. But it's a lovely city, though. Well, we're going back there, so it'd be nice to go back there. So, yeah. But meanwhile, I have books to write. I have another book to write before, and I've only just started, and it's due in the 1st of February.
You can do it. I read His Other Mistress. Was that the other woman? The other woman. It's because I'm looking at the mistress on my book pile. That's what confused me.
I know. That's the other one. I'm always writing about mistresses and affairs. Actually, the other woman came about from an interesting way in that, I don't know if you're a country and western song. I love, that's what I listen to, country and western music. The problem with country and western music is quite often there's stories in the songs. And then I have to turn them off because I get so engrossed in the story of the song that I can't write my book. But anyway, his other woman came from a singer called Carly Pearce. She's a country western singer, and she sings a song called Never Wanted to Be That Girl. Brilliant song. And that's where I got the idea for this book. Never Wanted to Be That Girl. So that's because the main character falls in love with a guy that she doesn't know is married initially.
I would imagine it's a great kind of music for crime writers, though, because it is very story-based, kind of western, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very much so. So much so that I sometimes have to turn it off because you do get engrossed in the stories. But then it gives you ideas because you get ideas from all kinds of places. So to get one from a song was great. I did actually write to her fan club to ask if I could quote from the song, but I never heard a reply. But seemingly I did learn that you can actually use the title. There's no copyright on titles. And the title of the song was Never Wanted to Be That Girl. So I could use that in the book, which I have done. So
I think people who like music as well love to, like if someone likes country music and they see that in your book, it's almost like the music is recommended in the book.
Yeah, I have put her name in the acknowledgements at the end because I think she's a lovely singer, and I think she co-wrote it with another singer whose name I can't remember now, but the version I heard was Carly Pearce singing it. But it is it's a very moving song in that the woman in it doesn't find out for 6 months that the man she's in love with is actually married to somebody else. Whereas my woman finds out pretty quickly, but she decides she wants him anyway. So, yeah. Plus, you have to have dead bodies. I have to have dead bodies in my book, so there's a few dead bodies. Originally, I actually wanted to write a Christmas book, but I was told it was way too late to be putting a Christmas book out when mine came out. So there's Santa Clauses in it. Unfortunately, they don't meet a good ending.
No, there is Santa Clauses in it. That's true.
And a Christmas ball.
Yeah, it's a good time of year to read it, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, try to make it Christmassy.
I'm a fan of like kind of punky music.
Oh no.
And there's an author I love, and he's got a book that's got a title and the lyrics, actually, a little quote from the lyrics in the beginning of the book that's from one of my favourite punk bands. And I was like, that's like the band recommending the author and bought his
that's
book.
nice. I like that. Yeah. Actually, John Connolly did one even better. I don't know, do you know the writer John Connolly? You know, it's Charlie Parker series. A few years ago, one of his books came with a CD of music, and it was really, really good. Unfortunately, we traded our car in, and I left it in the CD player.
Oh no!
When I contacted them, it had vanished mysteriously, so I never saw it again. It was a shame because it was really good music. I love his books. I've met him twice, and he's absolutely. I don't know if you've ever met. Have you met John Connolly?
I haven't. No.
He's absolutely gorgeous. He's such a nice guy. The fact that he's Irish, of course, does help as well. But no, he's really, really friendly and nice, and just he's very ordinary, but he's a very, very nice guy. I've been fortunate just to have been at talks by him twice, in fact. So yeah, he's really good, really witty as well.
So Donna came up before we went live, didn't she, in conversation, and she said happy hello to both of us.
Hi, Donna.
I'm reading both comments at once, which is why I got confused, because she also said happy birthday, Eve, to me.
It's your birthday today, is it?
No, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Happy birthday, Eve.
Yeah. You can't see them.
I can't see them.
I'm reading them on my phone.
I can take my glasses off. So your birthday's tomorrow. What are you doing exciting for your birthday, Caroline?
Nothing tomorrow, because I went out at the weekend. You're not special in my family if your birthday is in this couple of months, basically. My mum's was 4 days ago. My brother's is like a week before that. We include my husband because his birthday's in November. So we all had a birthday meal at the weekend.
Oh, it's nice. That's nice. It's nice when you get the gang together. Makes it more special. Yeah.
My dad made us both a birthday cake.
Very nice. Yeah, that is nice. I like birthdays. I keep forgetting everybody's birthday, though. It's just that you find the years, well, because you're a lot younger than me, the years are going past so fast. I had to ask Robert how old I was a few months ago. I couldn't remember if I was 65 or 66.
I forget things like that. And people's birthdays when they're not in these few months, because everybody in my family's birthdays are essentially just like now.
Yeah.
So if your birthday is outside of these 2 months, I'm not as good at remembering it.
Luckily, you just reminded me, because my sister's birthday is next week, and I'd forgotten all about it. I think it's either the 9th or the 11th. Jesus, someone will tell me before that. I come from a big family, because someone always lets you know, which is very handy.
That is handy.
Yeah, but sadly, my sister, who was best at letting us know, unfortunately has developed dementia, and she doesn't remember things like that anymore. Things that are important have changed for her. So yeah, but anyway, so trying to see, I show you something exciting.
Go on.
Ta-da! My next book, actually, it's kind of exciting in that when I was first published 7 years ago this month, this was my first published book with Book Tour. The rights reverted back to me this month because it was a 7-year contract. So Bold would have taken it out, and they have kept with my kind of theme. So it's the sister. So, but yeah, so it just shows the difference in covers between that and that. Now, I never liked that cover. I didn't even like the title, but I like this. I would have preferred the twin, but I was told I couldn't have the twin because there's already a book called The Twin. Anyway, so I got the sister. So if anyone out there has bought that, don't buy that because it's exactly the same. Only I've probably updated a little bit because your writing style changes in 7 years is a long time. So
Well, it's good though that it's coming back.
Yeah, 7 years.
Wow. I've read that as well. Secrets.
7 years. I can't believe it's 7 years. I remember when I first joined Book Tour, I thought that was it. You know, I thought I'd be there forever. 2 books and that was it. So I've been very lucky, you know. But the funny thing is, I've had 3 publishers: Book Tour, Bloodhound, and Boldwood. All the B's, which is very confusing because sometimes I get confused myself between Boldwood and Bloodhound because they're very close. But yeah, I've been very lucky.
You have Boldwood seem to have quite a lot of crime authors.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us. They have a fairly broad range between romance and they do a lot of sagas as well, and crime, psychological thrillers. I would prefer to actually write straightforward crime series, crime books. And in fact, my psychological thrillers are very much crime orientated. I mean, I don't think I've ever written one that doesn't have a dead body in it somewhere, because that's why I started writing crime series, and that's what I would prefer to go back to writing straightforward crime. Unfortunately, psychological thrillers they sell. That's what they want me to write. I don't really mind. As I say, most of mine are more or less crime books anyway, so they call it psychological thrillers because it's a marketing thing.
They're not really led by the police, are they? They sort of have a smaller...
No, they're more character driven.
Yeah, there's always a smaller cast of characters as well, yeah. Psychological thrillers, don't they?
And although I do have police in a lot of mine, it's not a police procedural. And I'm sure anybody who writes police procedures looks at mine and thinks, they wouldn't do that. Well, they do in my books. I try and keep them factual, though. I do an element of research because you kind of have to. But you don't want. I want people to get lost in the story without thinking, oh no, they wouldn't do that, or they would do that, or whatever. So that's because that takes you out of a story if you hit something that's totally undoable. So I try to make everything believable. I have climbed into cupboards, making sure I fit when I've had characters climb into cupboards. So.
Do you ever worry after 7 years that you might have certain themes? Because you were saying like you've written about mistresses and affairs quite a lot. Do you ever sort of worry that you might have like used a theme too much? Or
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes I think, have I just written this? No, and there is the element. In psychological thrillers, there's only so many tropes you can use. Secrets and lies, and they're all versions of secrets and lies. And there's only so many secrets and lies you can have. And there's only so many characters you can have who are afraid to go outside because they think there's somebody out there, or they're hearing noises, or they're getting notes. And I hope I'm not ending up being same old, same old. I do try to make them stories different. I do find what I do find is I write expressions, and I think, oh, I used that before. So yeah, it is dangerous, especially since I write 3 books a year. That's a lot of books. So but I think so far I have skipped that danger so far anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't a criticism.
No, I know that. No, but I mean, it is something I do think about. Have I done this before? Like, I think I've had it with mistresses now for a while, so I won't have. But the problem is, a story comes into my head, and it's the characters that are there, and they just develop. So sometimes they're developed very close to characters I've already used. So I try and give them a different voice or a different angle or something to make them a bit different. But they worm their way into your head until you get them out, and then you get rid of them. Then you start the next one.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, I'm a big fan of like your books, as you know. I've read a lot, or evidently not all of them. But I was wondering the other day, because you do bring out quite a few. I was like, do you run out of names? Do you have like a list of names you've already used? Do you sometimes start writing a book and go, no, I had David like 2 books ago, or
yeah. I'm terrible about names because because I don't plan when I'm writing a story and I'm introducing a new character that's come out of the blue. They get the first name that pops into my head. So I remember a few years ago, I had a book and I think I had 3 different characters with the same name, which is very confusing even for me. So yeah, I have to be careful. But I have writing friends who spend a week or two before they start writing doing a plan of the story and doing a little biography for each of their characters. I don't do that, you see. And this is why I end up with characters the same name and characters in the same name in different books even. So yeah, because I had to change in the book I'm currently editing. In fact, I did change a character's name on the second, or I think my 3rd or 4th draft, when I realized in fact his name was the same name as I used for character in my last book. So I changed him to Liam. I don't think I've used Liam before. So his name is now Liam. Sometimes I ask people if they want their name in my books, so that's easy. But not all names fit because editors don't like you using names with the same initial. So you can't have Rebecca and Robin and Rachel. It has to be different names. So it can be difficult that way as well. So
that makes some sense. You got to have, I would imagine, like names that are hard to pronounce as well might not always go down well.
I had a character in my Irish crime series. I had called a character Tig. To me, Tig is a very common or garden name. And I had people complaining because they couldn't pronounce it. It's spelled Tadgh, which I suppose if you're not Irish, it might find difficult. And people find my surname difficult to pronounce. And I thought that was because it's an Irish surname and I'm used to it. To me, it's not difficult. So yeah, it's something I am more conscious of now. Especially, I also feel sorry for the poor narrator because all my books are now narrated. They're all going to audio straight away. So I do try to consider the Rose Robinson usually does my books for me. I try and consider her as well with pronunciation of some names. In fact, when my was it this one? I think it was this book. In fact, I can't actually remember. It was this one or the next one. Yeah, I think it was this one. There's a character in it whose name I can't remember, and the people who do the audio contacted me and asked me how I pronounced it. I didn't know it was a name I picked up from somewhere, so I had no idea how it was pronounced. And it was an English name of some sort. So I just said to her, "Listen, pronounce it however way you like," because it wasn't an Irish name. I don't know where I got it from. Sometimes I get names from strange places. I've used Oxford because I have an Oxford dictionary beside my desk, beside where I write. So I've used Oxford as a surname a couple of times. But things like that. I pick names off the back of things if I'm desperate.
Baby name places.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah. Or I often walk through our graveyard and there's a lot of lovely gravestones there. I get names from there as well. They have nice names. They've got interesting names. Our names are a bit different. Yeah.
Donna says, which of your books flowed from your fingers and was a breeze to write, and which did you have to drag kicking and screaming from the depths of your soul?
Which was a breeze to write? They're never a breeze to write. Let me see now. Which would have been easy to write? The Wives, I think, actually. That sometimes the ideas just come together very easily, and The Wives did come together. The hardest one to write, I think The Writer was the hardest book I've had to write. And funny enough, it's been my least successful book. And I don't know whether, I think I was trying to be too clever with The Writer, and it was hard to write and it was hard to get it together at the end. So that came out kicking and screaming kind of. But yeah, I find different stages of the writing process harder. I find the first draft usually okay because I tend to get my first draft down very fast, and then I spend a lot of time doing more and more drafts. I tend to finish before I give it to my editor. I tend to do an audio edit, so I listen to it and read it at the same time, which I find essential because you pick up so much things when you're listening to it. You pick up clunky sentences or missing words that you read it and it all looks perfect. And then you listen to it and you think, oh no, there's a word missing there. So I tend to do that before I give it to my editor. And then I get a structure edit, then I get a copy edit. And I tend to do another audio edit then. So by the time I have given that book in, I am sick to my teeth reading it because I've read it about 15 times. So there are parts in that are difficult. Sometimes getting the structure edit back from your editor and she says, well, I like this, but I don't like that bit, but I need to change that and that and that and that. And you think, Then you just get down and do it because it's part of the job. Sometimes I love what I do and sometimes it's a job.
So when Netflix come calling to make a
that'd be nice.
Presentation. I mean, some of your books would make really good movies. Would you want to make a cameo? Do you want to play character?
Like Alfred Hitchcock used to do. Yeah, I'd love that. They'd have to fly me to Los Angeles though first and put me up in a 5-star hotel.
If they don't at Los Angeles, I might not. No.
I'd go anywhere. Knowing my look, it'd be made somewhere wet and dreary. No, actually, I wouldn't mind doing the cruise one. That'd be lovely. The wives, because they went around Zanzibar.
So you use lots of really random locations, don't they, for Netflix stuff? Like a lot of the Victorian things, like Enola Holmes.
Yeah.
When they film that, is made in Hull's Old Town.
Oh, okay. Not making my books there. Oh, my made somewhere exotic, like Zanzibar, because I've never been there.
Yeah, somewhere like.
I did look up pictures.
Hull's Old Town is really nice.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely. I know this because it's where my husband is from.
Okay. Okay.
Like we were watching it, and he's like, "I know where that is."
Oh, I like when you can do that. Yeah. Yeah. I'd happy go anywhere if they made my books into a movie. I wouldn't care where it was.
Well, it was on the news, wasn't it? I think it's like Hull's one of the places to visit next year.
Yeah.
They're listed as a top destination for some reason.
It was good.
Donna says, random question, but when you were a nurse, did you think people were crazy around the full moon? Yes. I'm just going to answer that for you.
I think people were.
When you were a nurse, did you think people were crazier around the full moon?
Sorry, I must be me. I'm not getting that question at all, Caroline.
When you were a nurse,
did
you think people acted crazier around the full moon?
Oh, yes. Mostly the staff.
I said yes. I'm a teacher. People act, you can guarantee, and wild weather, windy weather, really windy weather, something like that. That
definitely the full moon.
Crazier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. But I worked in areas where there are a lot of dementia patients, and they tend to get more unsettled in the evening anyway, and sundowner syndrome. So we kind of went with that. Yeah, the full moon makes me scary. So
interesting question though. Being a nurse must give you lots of inspiration for interesting ways to kill people, kind of poisons to use.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good as a crime writer, that must be it's like being a policeman. I think being a nurse must be really good preparation for being a crime writer, because you must have all sorts of knowledge that's really handy.
I don't know. I haven't really used. Have I killed anybody off using nursey stuff? Oh, one I did in The Little Lies. I did kill off some person using something I would have found in a nursing home. But I like to find different ways of killing people and different poisons. Because in another book I used oleander. You can kill someone with oleander, which you can grow in your garden. So I think you'd need to use an awful lot of it, but you can kill them with it. I like to find unusual ways. because it's very easy just to stab somebody or shoot somebody, and that kind of gets boring after a while. So it's trying to find something a little bit different. But I have used nurses in quite a few books. Of course, I have The Nurse, which is actually one of my best-selling books. Is The Nurse. That's gone into translation in, I think, 10 countries at this stage, which is great. But I have nurses in other books as well. In The Little Lies, the main character is a nurse, and I've used them in a few others. Just because, you know, they say use what you know, so it is what I know a bit, I suppose.
Catherine Harkup has got some brilliant non-fiction books about poisons that Agatha Christie used.
All right.
And she mentioned oleander in one of them, and she talks about how they work. She gives you like the story where they're in as well, and how Agatha Christie uses them, because Agatha Christie was like really accurate about poisons. But she also gives you the science of how they work.
Oh, okay.
Which is like
interesting. I haven't read that. That sounds like an interesting book to read.
There's two of them. There's A is for arsenic, which I've not read, and V is for venom. Which is like
some ideas.
Yeah, it's really they're well worth checking out.
Yeah, because it's nice to use something that's a bit different. It's something you can get easily, which is nice.
And there are a few in them that she was talking about, like essentially you could find in the garden.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read about oleander. Somewhere. I pick up these things and they go in the back of my head, and I say I must use that sometime. It's like the poison I used in The Wives was something I read in the Metro, and I tore out and said, "Oh, I must use that sometime." And I kept that, and that's why the cruise is set in Zanzibar. And I won't tell you in case you ever want to read it, but I had to set it in Zanzibar for a particular reason. So now you have to read it.
But then you can claim that cruises and things are like essential research.
Yeah, in fact, it was very interesting because when I did the year before, I was in a cruise in New Zealand, and I actually took the opportunity of interviewing the security officer. Turned out, believe it or not, he was Irish. So we sat down for an hour and nattered. He was a really, really nice guy. So he gave me some information that I wouldn't have known about how to do things on a cruise ship, how to kill somebody off on a cruise ship. So yeah, he was really nice.
I think it's really interesting when you hear people's stories, you know, when they do like a job, something like that, being the security officer on a cruise ship. I would never tell him this to my face, but my brother's a pilot, and he like tells you stories about like flying and, you know, like stuff like that, and it's actually pretty interesting. You know, it's one of those jobs where you're like, that's like, you know, genuinely like pretty cool to like learn about.
Yeah. This guy, his name I can't remember at the top of my head. He was a policeman for a while. Then he got into this cruise security, and he changes cruise ships. He has a home in the Philippines, and he goes home every now and then. Otherwise, he cruises on different cruise ships around the world. Think what a cushy job.
He gets to get off and see things out, or does he just stay on the cruise ship?
I think they just stay on the cruise ship. Well, I think after a while you probably get very blasé about being in these places, you know. So, yeah, I think I would get off everywhere and have a great time. But I suppose they're not allowed anyway. I suppose because we were asking the waiting staff on the last cruise were just gone, and they weren't allowed off everywhere. They had to do training and stuff. So they had to take it in turns about who got off and who didn't get off. And strangely enough, when we stopped in Tangier as well, the Indian staff weren't allowed off the ship in Tangier. Something to do with visas or something. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, all of this stuff is interesting, isn't it? And it's not stuff you normally face in your everyday job.
Yeah. Yeah, and all these things, all these nuggets of information go into the back of my head, and someday they'll come out in a book somewhere.
Which is, I was going to ask you about where you get your inspiration for the stories, but we've got that, haven't we? They just
I'm very aware.
all the way in.
It's very odd because weird things can trigger inspiration, and it's the same for every writer, I'm sure. Because I know when we were getting, I was looking out the window one day and they were doing work on a listed wall opposite where we live, and there was stonemasons working on it, and they weren't wearing masks at all. And it gave me an idea for a book. So I had a character dying. What's the name of the disease you get from stone dust? I've forgotten now. I do research. I learn stuff, and once it's used, I forget it again. There's a name. In fact, it's been in the news recently because men cutting stone for kitchen countertops. That new stone they use, they get it from that as well. It begins with a C, and I can't remember the name of it. And they inhale it into their lungs, and it gives them a disease.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very annoying, as I can't remember the name of it. But I use that in a book.
So, what are you currently working on?
I'm at the moment I'm doing copy edits on my book that's out in February called The New Neighbor. I've also started my next book, which will be out in July, and that is currently it's called Book 33.
And my favourite question at the moment, what you've read and recently enjoyed. Or what's your book of the year? Because it's December. We have books of the year now, it's December.
Do I have a book of the year? Do you know, I read books, I really enjoy them, and then you just forget about them. That's terrible. I would not be able to tell you what my book of the year is. I don't actually read as much as I used to, which is very sad. I just don't have the time. I find that because if I'm writing all day, the last thing I want to do in the evening is read. So what I do is I love doing watching disaster movies. Don't ask why, but I do. I'm currently reading. What am I currently? My own book. I'm doing flipping audio edits, so I'm currently reading my own. And I am planning to read Claire Swatman's next one because it looks fascinating. I can't remember the title of it; she'll kill me. But it's a romance thing, so not crime. I haven't read. I read Kerry Beavis's recent one, and I can't remember what it's called. Sorry, Kerry. It's terrible. I think a lot of it's because I read on Kindle. You might be the same, Caroline. You read, but because you're not seeing the cover every day, it's very hard to remember the titles of books.
No, you're not the first person who said that recently. Like if it's on Kindle, because it often opens to the first page as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you see the cover kind of once when you load it.
And that's it.
And not all
again. Yeah, you go back in again, you go back to that page. You don't pick the book up and say, that's the cover every time. So the name sticks in your head. So, yeah.
See, sadly for my house and my reading pile, which is ginormous, I prefer paperbacks.
There's something about paperbacks is special. I mean, because we live in a town without a bookshop, it's very easy then on my Kindle just to, buy a new book. Now, I bought Claire Swatman's book yesterday when it came out. Today, it might be early this morning. It seems like a very long day. Whereas if I had to buy that, I could get it on Amazon, I suppose, paperback. But for speed, just get it on my Kindle. But I do much prefer paperbacks. The smell of them.
I don't like taking my Kindle out and about with me either.
There's that thing too, yeah. Because I discovered that when I was on holidays one time. You can't put your Kindle on your bed, on your deck chair and go walking because you come back and it'll be gone. So,
and I used to have a really long commute to my old job, and it's I've read a lot on that.
I bet. Did you do audio? Or did you read?
I can't focus on audiobooks. No offense to people who do read them. I think they're a wonderful way of reading, but I'm too.
No, to me, I only do audio when I'm doing editing, and that's to me, it's work. I don't do audio either.
No. So I don't do them. I always have a book in my bag that stays in my bag. That's like my going to work. kind of read, and then I have a book at home, and then depending on what I'm reading at home, sometimes a book downstairs and a book upstairs, and a
Oh my God. So you can read several books at the same time?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God. Oh, right.
There's multiple books on the go at once.
Can you read when you're traveling? Can you read on the bus?
I can, yeah.
Oh, I'd get travel sick. I can't read traveling.
I can't in the car, but a bus I can, but not. Yeah, I'd probably have breaks, but yeah, I can read on the bus.
Oh no, I can read on a train, but not in a bus. I used to, when I was younger, I used to get really, really badly travel sick. So I don't tend to tempt fate by reading.
I used to be really badly travel sick. Buses are the only things that make me travel sick now. Like, I can't do a really long bus journey.
Right.
But I'm pretty good on any other form of transport now.
Boats and planes. Planes are great. Planes are great for reading.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
But I find now, if I'm, again, because I write so much, I use time when I'm traveling quite often I have an iPad I can write on. So I tend to do some work, especially sitting in airports, because it's such a long time sitting in airports sometimes. So I do a bit of writing then. So,
although airports do normally have like a lovely bookstore that you could browse and buy more books in.
Yeah, and I have to carry them though. I usually have minimal luggage. So I'm usually just flying home to Dublin to see my family, and I'll be doing that at Christmas. So my suitcase will be full of Christmas presents, hopefully, when I get around to buying any. So I haven't bought any yet.
Have you not? Ooh.
Well, my sister doesn't. We don't buy that many gifts to bring home, mainly because they're all grown up, really. So I usually buy them a big jigsaw. So I had to find one that they haven't already got.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some good ones online. I love a good jigsaw.
Yeah, my sister loves them as well. They do it they have a big table. They do it as a family. So yeah, it's nice. So I'll find one of these days. We have a very good toy shop in a local toy shop, and they do great jigsaws. In fact, I remember the last time I was sitting on the floor for about 20 minutes trying to choose which one to pick. As long as I don't pick the same one, that'd be a disaster. Like buying the same book.
It happens though, doesn't it? I've sometimes done that, gone back down my book pile and found that I bought 2 copies of the same book. I think it just tells you that you really wanted to read that book.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Or sometimes it's like this, when they change the cover. I know I'm going to get people saying, I think I read that before with different cover. Yeah, they change it. I mean, it does say on the Kindle and on the book, in fact, as well, which is good, that it has been previously published, but people don't read the blurbs. So, and it's usually written in small print at the bottom as well. So,
it does tell you, because I'm sure I've bought books like that. There was a stage where lots of that happened a lot, like books that get repackaged with a different cover and a different title in it. You weren't always told that it was like a new
version. It happens sometimes from the American market as well. If it's an American book and it comes over here, can sometimes get a cover and title change. That happened to me once. I brought the book back. I said, I've read it already. Yeah.
So we've got a few minutes left because we're letting you go a little bit early. Do you want to remind people what they're going to go off and buy?
They're going to go off and buy my latest. My Christmas book. It does have Santa Clauses in it. It's actually even got a Mrs. Claus in it.
It does?
Yes, that's my latest one. So yeah, it's actually got very good reviews. Thank goodness. So it's nice. It's always nice getting good reviews. I try not to read them, but of course everybody does. Yeah, it's nice when people like what you write. I write what stories in my head, so I hope that people like to read them. So.
I would have thought that by now you'd be more confident in your reviews and things, because you've been published for a while and people have followed you and do like your books. And
I know you never
groups and stuff.
No, it's always that imposter syndrome. Every time I have a writing friend, Jenny O'Brien. and we're the first readers of each other's books, which is very nice. But she'll say, I always get to a stage where I think what I'm writing is absolute rubbish. And I'll message her saying, it's rubbish. This one is really rubbish. And I think most writers never get to the stage where they think what they're writing is good. Or maybe there are some out there, but I don't think there are. There's not many anyway. In fact, I remember John Connolly, who I like a lot, as I've told you already. I fangirl over John Connolly. I think he's wonderful. But I remember at the talk, he said the same thing. He never knows if his books are going to be good or not. So.
And yet you think you fangirl over him. People fangirl over you and Jenny.
They've been like, do they really?
Do they have fans?
We do, yeah. I mean, I think that without a doubt, there are people who will buy my books and they like them. And it's lovely. I do get some nice emails from people, and it is lovely. But it doesn't make me any more confident in what I'm doing is right. You know, my next. I always think my next one's going to be the one that bombs. So it was actually very handy that this one did so well, because the previous one, the writer, didn't do that well. So, and you just, there seems to be no rhyme nor reason to why some books do really well and some don't. Because I just write the books that come into my head and hope that people like to read them.
Well, Donna says she's a fan of your books.
Oh, Donna's sweet.
And I am as well. So you've got 2 fans.
That's nice. That's all I need, really.
At the very least.
You just buy 1 million books each.
Well, and 2, I mean, like Donna, if she's going to champion your books, you've got someone who's a good person.
Donna's great.
Yeah.
Donna's great. So, and she's a very good writer herself, so she's coming into her own.
And then all that's left to say for us is thank you. Thanks for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Caroline. It's been too long. Don't leave it so long till next time. Don't forget to read The Wives now. We don't hear what you think about The Wives, actually.
I don't know if I got The Wives. I got The Mistress on my book pile. I'm looking at it as we speak.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you a copy of The Wives for Christmas.
Thank you.
And you can tell me then, and you can let me know why I set it in Zanzibar. You can find out.
Ooh, yeah, interesting.
I'll send it to you.
And then you have been a star, so thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Caroline. You take care.
You too.